And we're back from break, and I'm still a little, jittery. I was not expecting that wild of a finish, especially after the mulligans I took in game one. So, what was it like watching? I'm like playing. It's Goblins feels like a very kind of linear deck where you're just like, okay, I got to get you low, and then. But what's it like watching? What were you thinking?
So this matchup was super exciting in particular because on paper, I expected very, very lopsided games within the match where you either didn't stand a chance or you just left Michael in the dirt. So that's basically how the only options I could see. I couldn't see like a long, drawn out close game or something like that. I just couldn't see that. So it was kind of cool to see that actually happen in practice, because game one you spent like the first 5 turns getting him to like 19 life, and that game was just not a game. It was just over from the get-go basically, while the other
it was over turn 0 when I had 3 lands and 2 goblins. I'm like, I am not winning this game, and then just like yep, okay.
Yeah, no worries. The match is 3 games, so so games 2 and 3 was kind of the other way around, where you just
he had like
bullied him. Yeah, go ahead, Alex. So it looks like Alex had something very important to say, but he just got cut off. But what I was saying was that games 2 and 3, Alex just kind of steamrolled Michael and took advantage of whenever the Pestilence deck is put under pressure. You can just really punish it by just pounding it over and over. Welcome back, Alex. I was just talking about games 2 and 3, how you kind of exploited the weakness of the Pestilence deck. How did you view it?
Yeah, so I tested. The first 2 leagues I played testing this deck, I actually ran into basically this exact deck in round 5, going for a 5-0 and got just bodied. Couldn't really do anything. I changed my deck, made it a little faster, added the 4th Goblin Grenade, ran into the same player on a version with even Rift Watcher in the sideboard, round 1. And I'm like, maybe I really should run Flaring Pain. But I didn't. They had Circle Protection Red, and just the same thing happened. They just choked on mana every turn. But it sounds like we're ready. So this looks like it's going to be whether or not Evan can get a quick Delver before Michael gets Pestilence.
Yeah, we got Izzet Delver versus Black-White Pestilence, which I imagine is a pretty cool matchup.
Yeah, neither of these openers are all that great. Like,
Evan decides to... Yeah, Evan was in a Multi 6.
Yeah, looks like it. And did Michael keep that 7? Yeah, he did. And he's going to nab a counterspell here, and that's pretty big game.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So Pestilence, it's such a good card just because so many creatures in Pauper are pretty small, and against Delver or any kind of Delver variant, especially one like Evans, which doesn't have Stormbound Geist.
Yeah, that card has fallen a bit out of favor. I'm not sure why. Is it because the black-blue Delver is gone from the meta?
I don't know. I think it's because I think part of it is there's just not a lot of Chainer's Edicts running around these days. And that's where it's really good. It's good in the mirror, and there's not a ton of mirror matches these days. But I also think that it's really, really bad against Core Skyfisher. And that deck, those cards are everywhere these days. It's just, if you're not paying attention to Pauper, Arkham's Astrolabe has just sent Core Skyfisher and Talk decks into another level entirely.
For sure. So this slow start to the game definitely benefits Michael, even though the Delver deck is capable of playing somewhat of a mid-range role. Michael's deck just does it better, but with all the mana sources in Michael's hand, this might turn into a great game anyway.
Yeah, and actually Evan played the best creature in his deck for Michael because it has 3 toughness and it lets Michael Pestilence every turn and pick off Spellstutter Sprite. With Pestilence on the board, Spellstutter Sprite is just a 1/1 spend mana, do nothing.
Yeah, it's actually a good point that he might not mind the Augur, but the thing is, Evan is going to get a lot of value now.
Yeah, because he's going to be able to ninja, draw a card. Is he going to be able to cast R? Or is this turn 3?
I believe he played the Augur on turn 2, so
yeah.
turn 3.
So I think do you go for Preordain here? Augur potentially?
I just think he has the 1 mana, so yeah, preordaining to just sculpt your hand. And this is kind of the critical turn where if Michael resolves I'm not too good with the names. The 2/3, I always call it the Pauper, the Guardian.
Guardian, the Guildpact, yeah.
Yeah. That would be huge, but Michael hasn't got that luxury at the moment.
Yeah, I still think if you're Michael, you want to play Pestilence because it kind of stops Evan from committing other threats to the board. Oh, but that Divest is really... so he's going for Pestilence. And he's going for the tap land to pad his life total. And that makes sense. Pestilence is one of those decks that doesn't care about the card draw from Delver because you have this trump card. You have this card that kind of invalidates so many cards in the Delver deck in Pestilence.
Definitely.
So, see that.
So Evan is going to fight the Pestilence rather than just,
What do you think about that? Because I know a lot of people who will not play creatures in the Pestilence and basically time walk themselves, not commit any threats to the board. But instead, Evan is...
When I have a ninja in play, I don't think I mind playing it.
Okay, makes sense.
That's if ninja's my threat, I would just have kept that augur in hand and let your move, Michael. And then what are you going to do? Are you going to kill the ninja and then the pestilence dies?
Oh,
see, that obviously changes the.
This changes everything. So, for those of you who don't know, the interaction is Guardian of the Guildpact has protection from monocolored. Pestilence has this rider that it deals damage, but if there are no creatures on the battlefield, it goes away. You have to sacrifice at the end of turn. The interaction is Pestilence will not deal damage to Guardian of the Guildpact. And there's no way in Evan's deck, I just double checked the list, but there's no way in Evan's deck for him to get a Guardian of the Guildpact off the battlefield. So once this sticks, it doesn't look good for Evan.
Nope. That means Pestilence is staying around.
And I'm not sure there's anything Evan can do here.
No, not with Michael at 20 life.
No. Oh, that's rough. Yeah, and now he can wipe Ninja. Nothing in Evan's hand really does much of anything.
Nope.
So,
and I believe he only has 2 copies of Fire Ice and 3 lightning bolts as direct damage.
Those aren't goblin grenades, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Those are not going to get the job done.
So, and that's actually one of the reasons why Pestilence was a popular deck, is because it has such a good Delver matchup. And I know Michael in the past has run the more creature-heavy version of the deck, the ones with Thraben Inspector, Core Skyfisher.
Yeah.
Also, so
Riftwatcher.
Do you know why he moved on to this version for this week?
I know that he was kind of stressed out about submitting a deck, and then he just took the last list that he had a good finish. But I'm not quite sure because, I remember he has toyed with a bunch of versions.
Yeah, he loves this deck.
For sure. And it's treating him quite well. I believe he qualified for the Pauper Championships playing that.
Yeah, I think so. So, question, did he side out Palace Sentinels against me?
I didn't pay enough attention to give you that answer.
Because
wait a minute. Nope, he didn't, because he scryed it to the bottom on game 2. He had it in his 7-card mulligan. Yeah, first mulligan, and then he scryed it to the. So I assume that card is just against your deck is very swingy. I guess.
So I had a game yesterday or 2 days ago where I was up against Boros, the Boros version of the Monarch deck, and they had 2 creatures on the battlefield: Standard Bearer, which is a creature I have to target with any removal, and Palace Sentinels.
Yep.
I just happened to draw my second Goblin Grenade, had 3 creatures on the board into their 1 red mana, and I was like, if this doesn't work, I lose. It worked. I won. And yeah, but I see. Evan trades a counterspell for Palace Sentinels. Evan's putting up the good fight, but I'm not sure there's much he can do here.
No, he's, from my point of view, he's just delaying the inevitable.
Yeah. Let's see.
Because there's no real way. Yeah, so now he needs to. I guess he's pecking away at Michael's life total by doing that. Michael even has a talisman to buffer.
Yeah, I saw in the chat, is Fire Ice monocolored on the stack? Yes, it is. It cannot affect Guardian of the Guildpact.
Yeah, if it was a fuse card, I believe it would be both blue and red. But since it's a split card, it's either or.
If there are any judges in the chat, let us know about that interaction, because I don't know off the top of my head.
Because a card like Wear Tear from Return to Ravnica, I believe when you fuse that, it becomes a red-white.
Okay.
But split cards are a little different than fuse cards.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm Evan here, I think I pack it up and try to get to game 2. Like, try to get that blind flip Delver draw and hope that Michael does not have the good cards.
Yeah, but again, if Evan has some kind of plan and some kind of hope, I'm not the man to take that away from him. Yeah.
There's the scoop. Yeah. So if you're Michael, do you side out Palace Sentinels?
I could definitely see doing that on the draw, but it depends a lot on what I have in my sideboard to shore up the 2 circle of protections are going to come in. Do you board in Duress against the blue-red Delver?
I don't know.
Duress is kind of good against Counterspell. You want to clear the way for your powerful 4-drops.
That's true. But I think you side out. I think like Evan doesn't have a ton to bring in. He has to side out the removal. I guess he brings in Echoing Truth. He can bring in Curfew. But that's it. And he has so many... And he has 4 dead cards. Maybe you bring in Fire Ice to tap a Basilica.
Fire Ice is not the worst when you're trying to buy turns with Ninja negating your opponent's powerful 4-drops.
Yeah. Just play it as like a...
Yeah, I assume he'll be using the tap ability like 7 or 8 times out of 10 and the direct burn the rest of the times. But let's see how it shapes up.
Oh, that's a great hand from Michael. So Soul Reap is this really weird card where it's 1 and a black, destroy target non-green creature, but it's the second black spell you cast this turn. You get to hit your opponent for 3. So yeah, that looks like it's an interesting card, especially given how much removal he has, but I get it. And no turn on Delver again.
Yeah. So Evan is taking off time to cycle the Ash Baron. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean you have to get your second land and augur into something maybe. But do you get a mountain, or I think you get an island here for your counterspell because your red cards are basically useless anyway.
Yeah, the red cards aren't very good in this matchup, so
Evan got the island.
Yeah. So I was about to add something about the Soul Reap. That card got popular when Gurmag Angler was all the rage, which is not the case anymore.
So Evan trades his counterspell for Night's Whisper.
Yeah, I think I would have spent my turn to progressing my own game playing rather than hoping to counter a Night's Whisper, because Michael could just as well have just played a tap land and said go, and then Evan would look kind of silly.
And looks like Evan misses his 3rd land drop. Michael has the second Night's Whisper.
That's another reason why I would have tried to advance my own game plan, because I didn't even have 3rd land drop ready.
So it looks like Evan's going for Ninja here, which is going to get eaten by Soul Reap.
Yeah, so... Oh, okay. So he's pretty committed on the Faerie plan, where he wants to counter some 2-drops.
This is going to be bad because Michael drew the Disfigure.
Yeah, very bad news.
Ooh, that's a bloodbath that just happened.
Yeah. So Evan, this game, he tried to play the control route. I would have been a lot more aggressive with searching for land drops, getting some ninja going on. It basically started all the way from turn 2, where I liked playing out the Augur rather than holding up Counterspell that early, because Counterspell is going to be good at any stage of the game.
Would you ponder turn 1?
Yeah, see, that's the other option. If it on turn 1, I would make the decision between pondering or play turn 2 Augur. And I thought he went for the safe route, which was cycle Ash Barrens, play turn 2 Augur, but then he just kept up Counterspell instead. I wonder why he changed plans.
Not quite sure. I think I still would want to lead with Augur, because if you have any spell, it's probably going to be a spell that, and there's the Pestilence, like a Preordain a Ponder, something that's going to find you your 3rd land, and you have a backup Ponder. But Evan just did not have an aggressive enough draw this game, and it didn't help that he had not nearly enough mana. But it looks like he flipped a Delver and pondered. But
yeah, so it's going to be pretty hard for him to beat the Pestilence,
especially with the Guardian in hand.
Yeah, definitely. But I guess those 2 lightning bolts gives him hope.
That is true. Michael does not have a way to gain life yet, and so
okay. So Michael had an untapped land, so he's able to play out the Guardian and then kill off Evan's board, which is pretty huge.
But so Michael is dealing 2 extra a turn, and Evan has a 6 life advantage. So it's conceivable that we get into a situation where Evan goes bolt for the win.
Yeah, definitely not impossible.
Because Michael does not have his talismans, he doesn't have a Radiant Fountain. I don't see any way for him to gain life. So this isn't over.
Evan even has
fire. Okay,
he's not that far off.
Evan's hand's taking a little while to load, so he's slow rolling us unintentionally.
Yeah, definitely not not his fault, but
so this Augur is pretty interesting, because it doesn't come off the board.
I think you just kill it, because you want to keep attacking and close out the game.
You play a 2nd Pestilence. So you Soul Reap and then get them down. That is smart. That is not a play I saw.
Nope, me neither. The Black Spittle, the thing you talked about in the beginning about Soul Reap, definitely came to fruition there.
Yeah, because now they're at life parity, and Evan has to just go dome, and well, that's a card.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what the...
Well, if you Echoing Truth the Pestilence, Michael has to take a turn off to recast 1.
Sure. My point is that's not the end of the world for Michael.
It's not, but it does buy Evan a little bit of time. And if it's enough time to draw, another lightning bolt, maybe.
I think he needs to resolve all of his burn to win this game. 3 copies of lightning bolt and 2 fire ice. Well, I guess he boarded in more. That land is a very, very good draw for Michael.
Yeah. When it's like Zendikar block, when you want to draw the land actively. Landfall, win the race. Just not like with Plated GOP, you're winning it by gaining life. It's a, what is it? Gladeheart, Grazing Gladeheart. I think that was the card that was never good enough because that format was so aggressive. So I think I'm up against Evan next, and Evan's matchup is scary because he has a lot of removal. Fire Ice is pretty good against me.
Yep.
And Electricity is pretty good against me out of the board. So I have an uphill climb.
Yeah, you're up against... Yeah, I'm pretty excited to see how the Sledder and the copy of the Sledder.
Moderator Goblin Sledder.
Yeah, those cards are pretty cool against the sweepers that a Goblin deck is going to be weak to.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty excited to see that card match up against sweepers.
Yeah, definitely the card that's helped the deck out the most in that matchup is the Instigator, because it's another 2 bodies for 2 mana. That's the one from Core 19. But yeah, I'm going to be interested because I've played against in testing Mono Blue Delver, but they don't have a way to get rid of my Sparksmith. So that's going to be interesting.
Definitely.
So Michael's down to 6.
Yeah,
and
Evan,
at 8. But
because you kind of get choked on red mana, Evan he needs to fire off the red spells whenever he draws.
But Michael drew Pristine Talisman, which is just going to pad his life total, and I'm not sure what Evan can draw. Because I see 2 lightning bolts in the graveyard, and once Michael casts this and activates it, Evan is going to need to draw Bolt, Fire Ice, and even then...
he doesn't have enough turns to fire off those cards because he's 2 swings left.
Yeah.
From dying. Michael and I had a cool game at one point where we were at a similar spot and like this, and he had to make the game a draw with Pestilence. It was kind of cool.
Yeah,
but that's not the case here at all.
No, this is what the Pestilence deck does, and it's interesting because Michael opted not to run Evan Carr's Justice, which is a sweeper with buyback that these decks kind of run with 2 copies of Pristine Talisman to stay ahead on life. But
it is kind of redundant to Pestilence, though, that card.
It is, and Michael's running the full 4 copies of Pestilence, and I think that is that's. So yeah. Michael, this is just hard to watch as someone who has loved the card Pestilence, but there's nothing Evan can do here.
Nope.
So in the booth next round is going to be Michael, and Kendra is going to be coming back, and it's going to be me and Evan playing. So that one's going to be interesting, and I think it's going to, I'm looking forward to your match with Michael, because that one,
me too,
has a chance to really be exciting. But the Evan matchup is one and then I'm back in the after I play against Evan, I have to take out Affinity apparently.
Yeah, we'll be playing in this second to last match of.
Yeah, well. That's just insult to injury. Circle of Protection blue. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Michael attack.
Yeah, Michael can attack here and then just slowly finish the game with Pestilence, and that's all she wrote. It looks like Alex's internet is not.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, you didn't miss anything, to be honest. Michael is just slowly pinging away and finishing off Evan. So that does it for our, what was that, the 3rd match of the night? Yeah. So up next we have Evan on Izzet Delver versus Alex on Goblins.
Should be interesting. But I think we have a few more ads lined up. So, what do you think? What do you think Evan could have done differently, or is there anything he could do different, or was it just?
I just like it's what as a spectator, it looks like he kind of took on a suboptimal role on game 2. He has the play. He has a hand with limited mana sources. So he can either try and abuse tempo and get the wheels turning, or he can start looking for lands and set up for the later game. And instead, he just chose a middle ground where he's keeping up a counter spell early against a control deck. He's trying to get. Yeah, I just felt like he had a lot more potential in that match. But yeah, it looks like we'll be going to a short break now. And when we come back, we have more Pauper action. Don't go anywhere.